The investigating committee on NDDC refused and/or neglected to give me the opportunity to explain that reference to most NDDC contracts yearly being awarded since 2001 from the records allegedly to members of the National Assembly in both chambers were done without the knowledge of the alleged beneficiaries, whatever that means. However, the two chairmen of the committees of both chambers had adequate knowledge. Once again, he's referring to two people. I never referred to members of the 9th National Assembly as beneficiaries of NDDC contracts. Please, can we be quiet? I never referred, again, let me repeat. I never referred to members of the 9th National Assembly as beneficiaries of NDDC contracts. As NDDC contracts, or as NDDC is yet to fully implement any NDDC budget since the commencement of the 9th National Assembly. In fact, the 2019 budget passed in February and harmonized between the 4th and 5th of March 2020 was received by the Commission in the middle of April 2020, when same was designated to expire on the 31st of May 2020. However, it is pertinent to point out that the clerk of the National Assembly forwarded a letter reference now CNA 115 volume 381175 dated 20th of March 2020 without attaching the budget details, indicating that the 2020 budget of the NDDC passed into law was being forwarded. Copy of the letter is attached. This anomaly was brought to the attention of the Senate Ad Hoc Committee investigating a purported financial recklessness by the management of the Commission in July 2020 through the first outcry. Though the first outcry was on allegation of missing 40 billion, that has nothing to do with what I asked for. So, 4, it has always been known that the two chairmen of the committees on NDDC in both chambers yearly exhibit unusual influence to the exclusion of committee members and even the management of the NDDC in appropriating funds to details embellished in the budget after passage of line items at the plenaries. Allegation. In the 2019 budget, the Executive Director of Projects forwarded to me the attached list of 19 old contracts, old contracts amounting to almost 9 billion after tax that the House of Representatives Committee Chairman on NDDC, Honorable Tunji Ojo, insisted the IMC of the NDDC must pay before 20 budget details could be released to the Commission Annex A1. Now that paragraph, just so that we understand it very well, he is alleging, again alleging, without proof, that the chairman forwarded a list of old contracts which required payment. Let me be clear. The chairman NDDC only became a member of this House in June last year and only became the chairman of the committee in September, October. So what he's saying now, he's not saying that he gave the chairman contracts. He's just saying the chairman, perhaps, who knows, asked him to pay for some contracts that had already been executed. It's got neither here nor there. To show you some typical examples herewith attached are documents showing contracts or amount of contracts that were paid by the chairman, or were asked to be paid by the chairman of both committees. The above explanation would have been made before now. May I assure Mr. Speaker that as a former minority leader of the 8th Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, I shall forever promote the ideals of the National Assembly as an institution. Hence, I would not make the attached documents public, since I obtained the documents from the lead forensic auditors in confidence. Permit me to explain that any reference to, it's important, permit me to explain that any reference to 50 or 60% during the investigative hearing was in answer to a question by a member of the committee as to whether or not a medical director could act as executive director of projects within the confines of the NDDC Act 2000. I answered in the affirmative, pointing out that the greatest project in the world today is COVID-19 pandemic, which is medical in nature. Furthermore, I am made to understand that 50 to 60% of NDDC yearly budgets are medical in nature. Therefore, it is fitting for a medical doctor to act as executive director of projects in those trying times. Now, I think the Honorable Minister has walked back his statement. So what he's saying here is that the 60% he was talking about was as to the nature of projects of NDDC, not 60% as to contracts awarded to, or projects awarded to members. The last paragraph says, please accept, sir, the assurance of my esteemed regards and pass my and do pass my explanation to my colleagues in the 9th Assembly who probably misunderstood my assertion. I'm not passing it to the 9th Assembly. I'm passing the so-called misunderstanding to the whole world. The Honorable Minister is saying here that he never said what we thought he said. I knew when I made bold that statement for him to come up with proof of his allegation, that there was no way and no how that was going to happen, because no such thing happens here. And his letter has confirmed it. He has pointed fingers to the chairman of the committee here in the House and in the Senate. But in pointing those fingers, again, he has said, on the one hand, the chairman was not a member of this House at the time, and all he has said about the chairman is that he asked him to pay some people who had old contracts outstanding. He never said that even the chairman is not alleging got contracts. So I will pass this on to the Committee on Ethics and Privilege. If there anything here needs to be further examined, I'm glad we've put this to rest.
This is the Nigerian Television Authority transmitting to you live proceedings from the House of Representatives. The Speaker is presiding over plenary, and he just read a communication from the Minister of Niger Delta Affairs providing explanations on the decision of the House to institute a legal action on allegations that 60% of contracts at NDCC were awarded to National Assembly members. This is where we come to the end of today's live telecast. We thank you for your time. On behalf of all those that made it possible, I am Lami Ali, urging you to stay tuned as we go back to regular programs schedule.
2021st reading. Institute of Strategic Management of Nigeria Assembly Bill 2021st reading.
This is NTA International.
For now, the best and most efficient way to avoid getting infected is through regular hygienic and sanitary practices, as well as social distancing. As individuals, we remain the greatest weapon to fight this pandemic. By washing our hands regularly with clean water and soap, disinfecting frequently used surfaces and areas, coughing into a tissue or elbow, and strictly adhering to infection prevention control measures in health facilities, we can contain this virus.
Hello, I'm Esther Githui Ewart. This is Africa 54. With nearly 15 million confirmed coronavirus cases and nearly 610,000 fatalities, researchers are reporting progress in the race to develop a safe and effective vaccine against COVID-19. Two different experimental vaccines, one developed in a joint venture between Britain's Oxford University and British-Swedish drug maker AstraZeneca, the other by Chinese biotech firm CanSino Biologics, are producing strong immune responses in late-stage human trials, according to two peer-reviewed studies published Monday in the British medical journal The Lancet. The vaccine developed by the Oxford AstraZeneca partnership is receiving the most attention, with the company having signed agreements with many governments to supply its vaccine if it's proved to be effective and granted regulatory approval. The company has already committed to making 2 billion doses. According to the New York Times, the doses have been administered to more than 10,000 volunteers in Britain, Brazil, and South Africa, with 30,000 participants in the United States set to receive the experimental vaccine next week. Meanwhile, European Union leaders reached an agreement early Tuesday on a coronavirus relief package. The deal earmarks $857 billion in COVID-19 funding that will be issued as loans and grants to the hardest hit countries. A group of 17 nurses who are playing active role in national efforts to tackle the COVID-19 pandemic in Libya are describing the situation as harder than war. The health workers left their families to treat coronavirus patients at the Sabah Medical Center in southern Libya when the outbreak hit that part of the country more than a month ago. We get more in this report from Channels Television in Nigeria.
Fatima Amtir, head nurse at Sabah Medical Center in southern Libya, is among 16 other nurses who have been treating COVID-19 patients at the health facility since the coronavirus pandemic hit the country. Like the rest of the team, she has not seen their family in over a month.
I miss my family. I haven't seen them for over a month. Yesterday, my mother, who has cancer, was not feeling well, so she came to the hospital to take a nasal swab test, but I couldn't even hug her. I don't know if I'll ever see her again. I witnessed all the events that happened in 2011, and I never missed a working day in the hospital, not even a single day. But this time during this pandemic, I can't go home. I can't even hug my parents. I don't know if I'll see them again.
Nurses working at the medical center have since become permanent residents because all their time is devoted to the COVID-19 fight. Although not officially designated as a COVID-19 facility, the hospital, which is the largest healthcare facility in southern Libya, has been receiving patients and conducting widespread testing among visitors and staff, especially after 19 healthcare workers tested positive for the coronavirus and had to be isolated.
Honestly, this hurts. Nurses were treating patients even when they did not expect to be tested positive, but then their tests came out positive. My colleagues continued to treat the patients even when they found that they were COVID-19 patients. But yesterday when my colleagues were tested for COVID-19, the tests came